Customer expectations are evolving fast, and businesses are faced with a big decision. Do they rely on traditional chatbots or leverage the power of Salesforce Agentforce? I've invited one of our elves, Mark, to dive into the key differences so we can settle this Christmas table debate once and for all. Welcome back, Mark.
Thank you, Steve. Great to be here.
Thanks. So, Mark, what's the primary difference between Salesforce Agentforce and traditional chatbots?
So, Steve, traditional chatbots rely on what are called intent models, needing training, so AI training, for specific queries. So, Salesforce agents use advanced AI, like generative AI, to handle much broader set of instructions, making them a lot more adaptable and ultimately more effective.
And how are agents different in terms of learning and adaptability?
So Salesforce agents don't need exhaustive training. They work with a lot more generalized instructions, and they can dynamically resolve issues or queries, relying more on context, more on the Atlas Reasoning Engine, or RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation.
Okay. And then how do Atlas and RAG make agents faster and more effective?
So the Atlas Reasoning Engine processes input using natural language, and RAG retrieves relevant customer data very quickly, whether that's data from a CRM database or from documents, binary data, and ultimately all of that reduces setup time and improves accuracy.
Sounds really easy. Where do bots fall short and agents excel in your?
So I think where we've seen your traditional bots fail is with really complex, multi-layered queries. So agents tend to handle more nuanced questions by using customer data and unstructured data and knowledge a lot more effectively.
Okay. And then, do you have an example that springs to mind of where maybe agents may outperform bots?
Yeah, so I think a good example would be an agent could simultaneously handle a query for, say, a warranty check, but also a subscription extension at the same time by pulling together relevant data and comparing that with the context of the conversation that's currently happening. Whereas bots would struggle with something like that because they're a lot more linear and prescriptive in the way they work.
Great. And Mark, I've heard something about data cloud. How does that play? What role does that play? How does it impact scalability?
So Data Cloud isn't strictly speaking necessary for Agentforce, but if you are going to use it, it can really help to centralize large data sets coming from disparate sources. And one of the things I find the most interesting about Data Cloud is its ability to take not just structured data, but also unstructured data, like documents, PDFs, Word documents, etc., and vectorizing that. So turning that into patterns, effectively, that your AI can draw inferences out of to answer a customer's queries. Certainly something that bots can't do.
Interesting. Very interesting. So I guess that's almost next level kind of processing power, shall we say,
Indeed.
for a simple non-techie person like myself.
You got to keep me straight with the techno jargon, Steve.
Great. And Mark, I saw a really interesting demo recently where I could talk to an agent, so using voice. How do you see kind of email and voice making agents more effective in the future?
Yeah, so the omni-channel capabilities of Agentforce is probably the thing that excites me the most. When I look into my crystal ball and I look into the future, I see us interacting with machines in a much more natural way, the way we interact with other humans. And Salesforce have coupled onto this and are carving the way for making that a reality. So even today, agents provide a much more consistent, personalized experience across all the channels that they support. And there will be more channels coming online in the future. But right now, that includes live chat, and those chat experiences can be extended beyond just websites. So we're talking about WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and as I mentioned previously, it's all about consistency, personalization, and context. So these are all things that are quite limited to chatbots, which are just text-based interactions.
Yeah, right. So I could basically interact with an agent anywhere, anytime.
That's absolutely the goal. But the key thing behind all of that is consistency, right? So whatever channel you're engaging through, you want to have a consistent experience as a customer. I don't want to come on a Monday and use one channel, your website, let's say, and have a conversation about my case or my customer data. And then on a Tuesday, I'm using SMS or texting through WhatsApp or something and have a completely different experience. That experience should be seamless, regardless of what channel you're communicating through.
Yeah, right. That sounds much easier for me as an everyday consumer. Mark, couple of tough questions to close. How would you compare the results that an agent might deliver versus a traditional chatbot?
Yeah, so things are always going to vary use case by use case, but I think what we're seeing on general, sort of average use of agents versus bots is you're looking at sort of 40 to 50% better or increased performance and return on the investment with agents. If you look at one of our previous videos we did with Salesforce AE, some numbers were quoted there about cost to serve. So yeah, definitely a higher return on investment with agents compared to chatbots. Not that chatbots are a bad investment, but certainly more performance there. And that's just because they can handle a lot more complex queries a lot faster, right? So in the past, where you would have a very prescriptive intent model and a dialogue with, you know, a very sort of short decision tree behind it, there's no end to that with agents. So where a conversation may have ended promptly, where a customer goes off script with an intent model, that conversation will keep going with an agent, ideally until it's resolved, right? And really, you'll only be handed over to a real human live agent when you ask to do so with using an agent. Whereas with the chatbot, as soon as you go off script, you'll generally tend to get either pointed to an FAQ or told to email or asked to move to a different channel to engage with a real person. So yeah, it's all about that efficiency. It's about keeping people off the phones, keeping them off those channels that are expensive, and keeping them on the higher value, lower cost to serve channels,
Okay,
which are agents.
sure. So it sounds like agents might replace chatbots in the future. What do you think?
Yeah, so a lot of customers already have chatbots deployed out there on their websites and other channels, and those being used to effect. You know, I think if I was running business today and I was considering, am I going to leverage the technology behind chatbots or agents, it would be a no-brainer for me. I would go agents first. I think I've already invested time and money into building a chatbot infrastructure. I'd need to look at the use case to moving over agents. However, because of the cost savings, I think 99 times out of 100, you're probably better off migrating to agents for all the benefits you get that you don't get with chatbots. And then, you know, you're going to get varying degrees of um, benefit from different use cases, and typically those are aligned with different industries. So I think, you know, industries like finance and healthcare, where you tend to get really complex, multi-layered, multi-channel interactions, you're going to benefit more from agents. Whereas other industries where, you know, issues can be resolved very quickly through a single channel, perhaps not. But I think on average, over time, we're going to see more and more industries moving up at agents.
Super interesting. From faster implementation time to better results, it's clear that Agentforce is reshaping customer relationship management as we know it. Thanks again for your time today, Mark. And on behalf of the team at Trig,
Merry Christmas!